Even with NIL, concerns remain. After all, there are so many college events that can be wagered on. Outside the Lines takes a closer look. Here's Jeremy Schaap.
Since 1945, there have been 15 match-fixing scandals in college sports that involved organized crime. Since Murphy versus the NCAA in 2018, the decision that flung open the doors to widespread legalization, there have been no such fixes, as far as we know. As the president of the NCAA, Charlie Baker says maintaining the integrity of collegiate competition is of paramount importance. But with legal wagering now just a click away in most of the country, that is no mean feat. Here's John Barr with part 4 of our series.
It's mid-January at the University of North Carolina. Mark Potter and Ryan Tatusco, both former professional athletes and recovering gambling addicts, are delivering a message to the Tar Heels football and baseball teams. It's the same message the NCAA has hired them to deliver more than 100 times in the past year to collegiate athletes across the country.
The point of this session, really, is understand the risks of gambling to you guys.
As athletes, you guys have more increase in exposure, right? Legalized sports betting is coming online right here in the state of North Carolina. Exposure is all around you guys.
Athletes are up to 6 times more likely to struggle with gambling-related harm than the general population. And then young people at college are at least twice as likely to develop a gambling addiction. That creates all kinds of vulnerabilities for a young person.
There's a lot of new fast stuff out there that these young people are dealing with, and we've all got to make sure that we protect the players.
How prevalent is the level of harassment of athletes they receive online from gambling interests?
I very rarely have a sit down with a group of student athletes where somebody or some group of somebody's doesn't bring up the amount of harassment and the brutality of some of the stuff that comes across their phone, sometimes from bettors and sometimes from fans.
I had like a bad game last year, and I just went into my DMs after the game. People tell me, I need to kill myself, and I wasn't, an athlete, stuff like that.
The more we can get this out in the open and we can kind of shine the light, on this harassment monster, hopefully that can make people believe and make them see that this is not okay and this is something that needs to stop.
What are the consequences of that harassment for the athletes who are targeted?
Well, the biggest thing is fear. And we actually had one championship where there was a threat made against the team from a bettor that was serious enough that we gave the team 24/7 protection for the rest of the time they were in the tournament.
Threats from organized crime and gambling interests to the integrity of the game have long been feared by the NCAA, dating back to point-shaving scandals with Boston College during the 1978-79 season.
Trouble at Boston College.
Investigators are examining the allegation of point shaving.
And in 1994, with Arizona State guard Stephen Headache Smith.
Stephen Smith agreed to fix basketball games.
Wow, Arizona State is doing everything it can to throw this game away.
Even today, with the spread of legal sports wagering, betting scandals continue.
A gambling investigation in Iowa, and then Iowa State.
Suspicious betting activity.
Alabama firing coach Brad Bohannon.
Several athletes placed bets on games in which they played.
As the number of states that have adopted legal sports betting has increased, so too have the problems. In 2019, according to an NCAA survey, 3% of athletic departments reported dealing with a sports wagering problem within the last year. In 2023, that number jumped to 27%.
What do you think that increase tells us?
It was more than just like a little problem. It's a major problem.
To prevent the next gambling scandal, the NCAA has enlisted the help of Las Vegas-based U.S. Integrity, a monitoring service that acts as a watchdog for betting irregularities.
When we think back to the history of scandals, in American sports, like Arizona State in 1994. What made the Headache Smith situation so unique? They fixed 5 games. What we're trying to do now, in collaboration with the sportsbook operators and the regulators and the professional and collegiate sports leagues, is stop at the first game.
How old were you, would you say, when you placed your first sports bet?
I was probably 18, 19 years old.
For all of the NCAA's efforts, there are still gamblers that are invisible to investigators, like Jack, who asked us not to use his real name. From 2017 to 2019, he was a practice player for a Division I basketball program in a Power 5 conference. He says he started betting a few $100s a week on sports his freshman year on the illegal market.
How often would you bet on college basketball?
Every day, depending on what I liked or, what I knew about something, because I had known guys pretty much playing across the country at one point.
Would you bet on your own team?
Yeah, my junior year I'd bet, my senior year I'd bet on the team.
So you're a practice squad player your junior year, and you're betting on your own team?
Yeah.
You had to have known that was against the rules.
Yeah, but I think also at the same time, doing it illegally too is like you're already against the rules. I felt like I'm a kid in a college town. Who's gonna catch me?
By his junior year, Jack says he was betting in the thousands every week. He told us he developed a side hustle, acting as an agent for a bookie, taking bets from fellow members of the practice squad and a starter on the basketball team. But it didn't stop there.
I took a lot of football bets from football players.
Football players who were betting on their own team?
Yeah, their own team, other teams, basketball, football, you name it.
Were those football players who placed bets on their team betting on their team to win?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
What about to lose?
No, I'd never taken one to lose.
How many athletes were placing bets with you?
I'd probably say anywhere from 12 to 15, probably.
How do you police against someone like that, who is using bookies and illegal websites?
I don't ever see a scenario where there's an opportunity to sort of snuff out all this stuff because, generally speaking, people will find a way.
The NCAA goes to great lengths to preserve the integrity of the game. What does your story say about the limitations of that system?
It's kind of like robbing a store with a cop waiting outside. Kids are smarter than that. They'll go and find someone or find someone like me. You can always find a guy.
What do you think the odds are that we'll see another gambling scandal involving college athletics?
I think we'll continue to see incidents, absolutely. It's not that hard to imagine somebody just poking their friend and saying, I could really use your help this weekend. If you could just miss a couple of free throws or, do one of the many different things you could bet on in a game, the chances for just a lot going wrong are very high.
At a recent meeting of the National Governors Association, Charlie Baker, who was previously governor of Massachusetts, urged state executives to eliminate prop betting from college sports. According to the American Gaming Association, 17 states restrict betting on college sports in some form or fashion, including 6 that specifically limit prop bets. For more on the story of the former D1 practice player and bookie we're calling Jack, you can find John Barr's digital story on ESPN.com. Tomorrow, in the final part of our series, the human toll of widespread legalization and instant access to gambling.